and Township of West Amwell, and advertised on December 3rd, 2020, in the Hunterdon County Democrat and Trenton Times newspaper. Flag salute, yeah. Please stand for flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, there it is.
Okay, roll call. Don Strumfeld.
Here.
Martha Dennis.
Here.
Jim Gallagher.
Here.
Chris Petula.
Here.
Diana Purcell.
Here.
Tony Tomarino.
Here.
Megan Warner.
Here.
Philomena Hanks.
Here.
Kevin Kowaleski.
Here.
All right, our next portion of our agenda, we're actually going to hold off for a few minutes because our individual we're going to recognize is, I know, on their way finishing up a field hockey game. So we'll jump back to that when she gets here. We do have a special student recognition. So then we'll move to PTO, PTA, and LAF. We want to start with PTO.
Jessica Hardigan, West Amwell PTO.
And Stephanie Vollmer, LPS PTA.
As presidents of the PTO and PTA, we want to express our appreciation and gratitude to the families in our district for coming together to help in the IDA relief and recovery effort. When the PTO and PTA put out the call for volunteers to help with donations, free childcare, drivers, freshly made food, cleaning supplies, and other needs, the families in our district answered. It was an important reminder to us how much we can accomplish by working together.
So with the challenges facing the district, including the displacement of many families due to IDA, it's more important than ever for all of us to be engaged in the process of ensuring that every child in our district has the best possible chance to succeed. And we want to honor the acts of generosity and resilience we saw in the aftermath of IDA, and also set a joint goal together to hold on to that spirit of collaboration and community as we move into the new school year. So we just wanted to take a moment to be here to make a sort of a joint public statement in support of our communities. Do you want me to report?
Sure. So we just had our outdoor movie night on Friday, and it was a huge success. We had almost over 100 people, which is kind of amazing. We showed Raya, and the kids had a great time, the parents had a great time, and it was fun to see all the families coming together to spend time with each other. The next event we have coming up is Trunk or Treat. It's on October 29th. It's from 6 to 7:30, and everyone is welcome. Lambertville, West Amwell, everyone, if you guys want to do trunks, the more the merrier. The kids really love it. It's going to pretty much be back to normal this year, we're hoping. So the next thing we have coming up is our Mega 50/50. So it started at outdoor movie night, and it's going to end at Trunk or Treat. The winner gets half, the PTO gets half, and it's to fund our field day t-shirts. Last year we were able to buy every kid in the school and staff member a field day t-shirt, and it was really cool to see them all in the same color, and we have a tradition of creating like a West Amwell rainbow, so it's just something the kids look forward to. I look forward to seeing it every year in our pictures. And I just want to highlight our 6th grade fundraising efforts. Our 6th grade is killing it right now with fundraising. The parents have spent a great deal of their time doing this, and they're at almost over $5,000 right now, which is pretty amazing. So that's all.
I want to thank everyone who came out to our ice cream social in early September after IDA. Like the movie night, I think it was just one of those occasions where everyone was so happy to have a chance to be together and just be and catch up and not talk about all the difficult things that have been happening. So that was a really nice way to sort of restart the school year. Our membership drive is on right now, so I want to encourage everyone who hasn't already to join. We're really pushing family engagement this year and trying to get as many voices as we can speaking, and so having people join to become members is one gauge of that engagement. You can do it online now through the LPS website on the PTA pages there. So that's a sort of a new thing that's helpful. We have a chat with the superintendent coming up this Thursday, September 30th from 8:15 to 9 and from 3 to 3:45 in the LPS courtyard, just to give all of our families a chance to talk with Superintendent Suso on the referendum question. So I just want to broadcast that. Just please spread the word because we'd love to have people come and ask questions and express concerns. So that's this Thursday, the 30th, and also October 14th. Same times, 8:15 to 9. There'll be coffee and donuts, and 3 to 3:45 with some kind of afternoon snack. So hopefully it'll be a chance for a community to come together and talk about this important issue before the district. Our Scholastic Book Fair is coming up October 18th to the 21st. And our next meeting is the 19th in conjunction with the book fair, so keep an eye out if you can make it to the meeting. That will probably be a hybrid of some sort since we want to do it in conjunction with the book fair. So thanks for the time.
Hi everyone, Janelle Whipple from LAEF. Just 3 quick announcements. The first one is, hopefully everyone saw, but we welcomed 3 new members to the board of LAEF. Manisha Agrawal from LPS, Lauren Romberger, who has students at West Amwell, and Erica Vavrins, who is South as well as West Amwell. So we're really happy to have new members with us. We have upcoming visits with the faculty at both LPS and West Amwell coming up, just to, and as well as the middle school, high school, to just talk about the grant writing process for the teachers, what we're here to support. We always like to highlight some of the past grants that we're most proud of, but it's really an effort for us to connect with the teachers and the administration. Just as a reminder, we're here to help. And for anyone that doesn't know, LAEF, our mission is to support grants for the teachers for programs that are, outside what the Board of Ed budget provides. It can be anything incremental as long as it supports the curriculum and what the students are doing in the classroom, but in the past it's been trips, it's been programs, books, all that types of stuff. And in years past we've done some things that, like helping the monitors last year for all the teachers when they were doing the remote teaching. So that's kind of what we're looking forward to get more on the radar so we can help with the grants for this year. To that end, we have our first of 2 big fundraising efforts coming up Monday, October 4th. It's our West Amwell LAEF Golf Day. We're pretty much at capacity. If there's anyone here that hasn't paid yet, feel free to do that. We'll be taking registrations for a couple more days, but please look to support that. And as well, spread the word. We're also looking for sponsors to help us pull off the event. So that will be the first of our events this year. All right, thank you.
Never heard of that.
No, me either. Moving on to correspondence. They're posted, correspondence are posted.
Yeah, if I'll just mention quickly under the correspondence, and I'll just give a shout out to Dr. Blankman and Principal McKnight, who are both here. We got a nice letter from the American Red Cross. As many of you are probably aware, during the storm, or after the storm, we set up a shelter in the gym, working with the Red Cross for several days. And we got a really nice letter just thanking us, and I appreciate their efforts because they were on the front lines to help organizing that as far as getting things up and running for the American Red Cross.
Approval of the minutes. Need a motion for the minutes?
Okay, voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Motion passes.
All right, my update. So I want to start off with this before I get into some other things. Just a huge thank you to a ton of people who were involved. And we heard it earlier from our PTO and our PTA, but it was an incredible effort. Our staff was absolutely amazing. South Hunterdon staff stepping up and doing amazing things, holiday weekend, and giving up their plans to help work in the community. our administrative team for helping cover, the pantry and all the food supplies, the board, constant communication and giving out information, and so I can pass it along and doing a lot of stuff in the community. I know Lambertville Helping Hands played a huge role. I know there's a fundraiser that's also coming up in a couple weeks. The overall community, just in general, I think it was said best that in our darkest moments, we come together and we rose to the occasion. And that's what happened. Everyone pitched in to help one another out and just gave an amazing effort. One of the things I was most proud of was our kids. So with all the work that we do, with curriculum and all those different things that are really important, but for me, this is where it really happens. So when we have kids that actually step up and they're in the community and doing things like this, that makes it all worthwhile. So that was an amazing accomplishment. I was so proud of all of our kids. They did an incredible job. The West Amwell PTO for stepping up. Literally that morning, Thursday morning, I'm getting an email, from Jess and Michael Strauss. We need to do something. We need to get something going. And by Friday, there's a table out front, and then by Saturday morning, it turns into this, which was incredible, almost a supermarket in essence, with donations from Lowe's. So there's a ton of people that I'm sure I'll miss in my acknowledgments, but there's just a couple that I want to mention. Specifically, I want to mention Karen Hicks, who I know spent a lot of time helping out in the pantry. And then one individual in particular, and I'm going to do a little bit more than just mention her. I actually have something for her, is Jessica Hardigan, who's here. So Jess literally took this on, right, and did an incredible job organizing. You can see her right here. That's her and Karen, right, with the little cart with all the beverages and delivering within the community. So that's a lot of work and a lot of stress, right, because there was a lot of moving parts and there was a lot of volunteers and there was a lot of vendors, and Lowe's shows up with 500 buckets and they're like, hi, we're here to drop things off, right, and organizing all that. And Jess just did an amazing job doing that and stepped up and put her life on hold and put her job on hold. I still remember the quote you told me with your boss, who was hoping she was coming back, and said, are you done saving the world yet? Or are you coming back to work? And she wasn't yet. She was there front and center. So Jess, I would like you to come up, and I do have a certificate that I want to present to you. Certificate of appreciation. Certificate is awarded to Jessica Hardigan on behalf of the South Hunterdon Regional School District for organizing and leading the relief effort at the Lambertville Public School Food and Supply Pantry after Hurricane Ida. On behalf of the district, we thank you greatly.
Thank you.
All right. So moving right along, a couple other things. I did want to acknowledge, it just came out, if you're not aware, our middle school and high school is being recognized for achieving bronze certification for sustainable jersey for schools. So I want to thank our green team, our district green team, led by Mrs. Gardner over at LPS, who's done a great job of organizing all of our folks. We have been invited to an award ceremony. It's going to take place on Wednesday, October 20th. And when I send out the presentation tomorrow to the community, there is a link. You can click on that certification overview, and it shares all the things that we have to do in order to make this accomplishment. So again, I appreciate it. I thank for our efforts, and this is an amazing accomplishment. So we'll be recognized on the 20th, which is awesome. All right, a little update on COVID. So if you haven't noticed, we have the COVID tracker on the website, so you can kind of see where we are. We've had some cases at the high school, mostly, and the good news is we haven't had any in-school transmission. So all of our cases have happened outside of school. We've been doing a good job as far as our protocols, but this gives you an idea of live every time we have a case, besides sending out information to the community. I'm also obviously updating our tracker that you can keep and watch on our website. I do want to highlight for those of you that aren't aware, so Executive Order 253 did come out right at the beginning of the school year, and this is the requirement for all staff, school staff, to be vaccinated. So that includes everyone, not just teachers, custodial secretaries, paraprofessionals, administrators, anyone that works in our school settings, including substitute teachers. If we consult with outside groups that come in and provide services to our students, they're all included. So based on this executive order, staff has until October 18th to provide proof of vaccination. And then once we get past the 18th, then there's either the option of providing proof of vaccination or opting for weekly testing. So, and the weekly testing will work where basically the state of New Jersey has assigned or will assign the Department of Health a vendor to us for free, so we don't have to pay for it. And the vendor will come on site and then test any staff that opt for testing. Now, I will share a couple things. Right now, we're at, just doing a calculation, 93% of our staff is fully vaccinated. There is no cost, as I mentioned, to the district. And there is also going to be an option available to students with parent consent. And I have to find out more details on that. I've been told that I'll hear probably from our vendor that we're assigned sometime by the beginning of October, so maybe at the end of this week or beginning of next week. And if parents do opt, they will have the ability to have their child tested on a weekly basis as well, if that's something that they're interested in. So just so you're up to speed on that, and we're in pretty good shape overall with our vaccinations. And then, as it was mentioned, the referendum. So a couple things I want to mention. Referendum video number 1 went out, back in August. Referendum video number 2 went out last week. And you can kind of see here what was highlighted in each one of those videos. There will be a referendum video number 3 that will come out later in October. I want to remind folks that if they do have any questions or if they need information, the link right here or this QR code will take you right to our website. And there's a ton of information, all the presentations I've done, tax calculators, whatever you need. And then, as it was mentioned before, just a quick update as far as my schedule goes of presentations. So tomorrow, actually, I'll be at Fisherman's Mark, their new location, from 10 to 12. And then, as Stephanie had said, later in the week, I'm going to be at LPS for coffee. And by the way, for anyone who wants to come by, obviously, one of the main topics will be referendum, but it can be anything else as well. And I did that last week at West Amwell. So if folks have questions about anything related to the district, you can come out and we can have a discussion. And then you'll see as we get into October what my schedule looks like with some of the presentations that will be taking place in the beginning of October through the month of October. So still a lot of information sessions. I am hosting, you should have gotten it today, an open Zoom on Wednesday night this week for anyone. So I know sometimes coming in person could be difficult, so I'm going to hold at least 3 open Zooms before we get to the end of October for any folks. So if you know anyone in the community maybe who's interested in talking about it and doesn't have kids in our district and they're just community members, please pass this along. It should have went out through hopefully the listserv in Lambertville. I know it was posted on the community page in West Amwell. I know Stockton as well, so hopefully the word is out. And then just the sample ballot. So if you didn't receive your sample ballot, this is what it looks like. This is what the referendum question looks like. I did want to highlight where it talks about the 20%, a little over 20% will be funded by the state of New Jersey of this project. So this kind of breaks down exactly what the question will look like when you get to the polls or if you're doing a mail-in ballot. And then how do I vote? There's links that talks about voter registration. So if you're not registered, the deadline is October 12th to be registered by, and there's information on how to do that. For folks that want to vote by mail, there's information in this link that shares how to do that. And then there's also ballot drop box locations where you have a lot of different options in Hunterdon County. So this is all in there as well, which I'll send out tomorrow. And then polling locations. So if you're unaware, in Lambertville, we will be using LPS as a polling location in the gym. One of the challenges with the flooding is the 2 areas where they had used for polling locations right now are not available to use, not only for voting, but even for their regular council meetings and other things. So we have given our gym, so that will be for Lambertville, and then you can see Stockton and you can see West Amwell as well as far as the locations are. One of the challenges, and I mentioned this to the board, so we agreed obviously to help out the city of Lambertville, but one of the first questions that I did get by Hunterdon County, that runs obviously the elections, was everything's good as long as the building's ADA accessible. So obviously that's one of the reasons why we're having our referendum. So we are going to have to figure some things out to kind of do a makeshift to make everything work for ADA accessibility, because as you know from hearing enough about, the buildings, it is not ADA accessible, but we'll figure something out and make it work so we're able to use it. So just, and I'll remind folks again as we get closer in October at our next meeting about information, just so we're educated on, how to vote, where to vote, and what that process looks like. Any questions from the board?
Can I add something?
Sure.
So I just wanted to say, as somebody who worked directly with Jessica in the flood and saw firsthand, right, what she did, that a certificate is really the least we can do. And I also want to say that I think in honoring and also highlighting, right, that our PCA and PCO stepped up here tonight in a joint collaborative effort, which was really at the core of the recovery effort that unfolded here. And so I think some of what I just wanted to highlight from my own perspective, was just like the ways, it's very emotional actually, like the ways in which it wasn't just the community came together, like more broadly, it was also really impressive, fundamentally, profoundly, how much the district came forward, not just as a resource for affected families, but, even for like the kids we saw, at the park who, at the first day, like the volunteers who maybe were not directly affected, but whose friends were and family, and neighbors were, and who needed that space, maybe not explicitly, like they weren't the people we were initially thinking we were going to be helping that day, but they were the ones, but they still needed that space. And I think, in a way, being both bearing witness to and also, like, doing just some of that work, because it was so much work, right, of facilitating that relief effort, was really probably the most meaningful thing that I've done in my service on the board. And I'm not going to lie and say I don't think I've done a lot, because I think I've been here on a pretty, a period where we've really done some meaningful work as board members. So I just wanted to say, to kind of call out not just just how many different aspects of this work really reflected a selflessness and a sense of community that went so much farther beyond what I could even have imagined. In the teachers and the staff, the district leaders who I saw day after day, the students, right, and parents, community members who came from all of our communities together and just said, either what can I do or this is what I need, and it was really profound. And so I also wanted to thank as well Tony for leading the district at this, through this crisis with such a steady hand, and taking my phone call starting at 7 a.m. I think on Thursday when I saw the first family and said, we have kids. So thank you. And thank you also. And Jessica, I'm so honored to be able to work with you and to get to meet you and know you as well. So thank you. All right, now I get my tissues.
I think it's also worth mentioning that a lot of our Lambertville board members who are going through this time themselves were willing to step up and help. And I would really like to commend them for that. And you, Lauren, I mean, you were so busy helping that night, you sent a text to everyone, oh, by the way, does anyone have candles? I don't have power.
And thank you
So,
for making it free and
Right.
everybody, we took care of each other.
Anybody else? Good? Again, just, everyone said it best. I just want to reiterate what everybody said. Thanking Tony, the admin staff, all the teachers, all the community members, Jess, Karen, everybody down there, all the board members. Just, I don't leave anybody out. Thank everybody that helped out. I was down there. It really hurt me having to drive to work and not being able to help. So the people that were able to be down there and push that off and and be there, it's awesome, because it made for a bad day for me when I had to leave to go to work, and it was terrible that I couldn't be down there more, and everything. And, you know, I saw with the kids and everything like that, even my own kids wanted to help, but I can't get them to take out the trash. You know, they were asking every minute if they could be down there if they could, so it was great to see all the students and everything. And, you know, I just think that shows leadership in all of our towns, and our, you know, our staff and our board members, and possibly future board members that all come together like this, even in the toughest of times, even though we may not agree on things politically or have different views, but when something like this happens, that's it, we all come together, it don't matter, put it all aside, and we come and we work and we help everybody out, it doesn't matter anything like that. So it was great to see, and again, thank everyone, you know, on behalf of the board and everybody, thank you so much. And
You want to add something?
Go ahead.
I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to, because I might get emotional. So I
Okay.
do have the tissue. Yeah, real tissue, great. An experience like this, especially when you're in the middle of it, it's traumatic, and you're just kind of focused, and you go into like this mode of just trying to fix it. And I'm a person who typically is helping other people, so then when I was in need, it was uncomfortable, but it was like I just was doing it. And when I looked up as this football team walks into my yard and starts helping, and I see Jim there, and I was like, this is what it's about. This is what this is about. And then Diana pulls up and offers me water out of the back of her truck. And it was just one of those things, like, trauma is hard. And you feel alone, and you feel overwhelmed. And when people show up for you, you get hope. So it was a community, and it was full of hope. And you know, even if I was up to my elbows in mud, I knew that people were there to help. It was really wonderful.
Oh, she did? Oh, she is. Oh, yes. Oh, excellent. Sorry.
Yeah.
I guess we will get to our student recognition. So I'm going to call Principal McKnight to the podium to do our presentation.
Good evening. Our senior, Kiernan Swayhuber, has been named a commended student in the 2022 National Merit Scholarship Program. The National Merit Scholarship Program is an academic competition for recognition and scholarships that began in 1955. High school students enter the National Merit Program by taking the preliminary SAT, National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test, a test which serves as an initial screen of approximately 1.6 million entrants each year. About 34,000 commended students throughout the nation are being recognized for their exceptional academic promise. Tiernan placed among the top 50,000 students who entered the 2022 competition by taking the SAT National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. We'd like to congratulate Tiernan to please come forward and be recognized and receive a certificate from the district.
Congratulations.
He's also a pretty good field hockey goalie and softball catcher, too. Pretty well-rounded.
Did we win today?
Tied.
Okay. Okay.
There's still ties in sports. All right. Moving on to public comment. All right, everyone's going to have a chance to speak if they like. 3 minutes. Just want to read a few things. We have procedural requirements that include standards of conduct that need to be followed by members of the public during public comments. If a member of the public becomes disruptive during a public meeting, including during any period for public comment, the member of the board charged with running the public meeting shall warn the disruptive member of the public that continued disruption may result in being prevented from speaking during the public meeting or removed from the public meeting. Disruptive conduct includes sustained inappropriate behaviors such as, but not as necessarily limited to, shouting, interruption, and use of profanity or comments seen as abusive, obscene, or defamatory. You will be granted 3 minutes to speak. Speak once in each session. We will have another session at the end, and we will open up public comment at this time. Please state your name and municipality and come up to the podium. If you'd like to speak.
Jessica Hardigan, West Amwell. I just want to say thank you for the recognition. Honestly, though, I couldn't have done it without Karen. I mean, there hit a point Monday where I could barely focus, and I was just sitting in the corner, responding to emails and text messages, and she took over. And I couldn't have done it without your help. I mean, and all of your help, and the PTA's help, and Sean, and I mean, all of them. And Dina Finelli is phenomenal. They should erect a statue of that woman. Without helping hands, and they were constantly sending me people and bodies, and it was kind of amazing to see everyone put their lives on hold and everyone just stop everything and come and help. I mean, there were 6th graders, 5th graders, 3rd graders from LPS and West Amwell just canvassing street after street, feeding people, giving people water, delivering buckets of supplies. And I know it's all been said. It's amazing that we were able to put our differences aside and work towards a common goal. And I think that that's more important than ever, given the circumstances. So it's nice that we can work together and we can respect each other and move forward. So that's all.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak? We will have one other session if, at the end, if you think of something between now and then.
We don't have anybody through our forms.
No forms to be read either?
No. As you're aware, this month we put out a form both in English and Spanish, so right now we don't have any.
All right, so we're going to close down public participation and move on to our agenda. First committee would be Building, Grounds, Transportation, Finance. Diana?
So we met on Thursday, and as you can imagine, we spoke a lot about cleanup efforts and a lot that our district did, and I don't want to belabor it, but I think it's worth mentioning, everything that the administration, Tony, and everyone had done. I know our transportation department, our bus drivers are working a lot of long hours trying to get displaced students to school. I know that, I think you had said that Joan McKnight was involved in delivering meals to people's homes where they were staying, because I know LPS was offering meals to take home for students. And George Hutton and the facilities team probably had many sleepless nights, just making sure that our facilities were okay to open, making sure everything, all the damage that was done was taken care of promptly. So, of course, again, I just wanted to say thank you for all of that, because it's definitely does not go unnoticed. Aside from that, we talked about the referendum. Tony touched on a lot of it, about a lot of the information sessions coming up, so I'm not going to talk about that again. Everything else is on our agenda, so I'm going to items A through L. Yeah. Discussion.
Roll call. Lauren Brown-Strongfeld,
Yes.
Martha Dennis, Tim Gallagher,
Yes.
Lisa Truitt,
Yes.
Diana Purcell,
Yes.
Lonnie Marina,
Yes.
Devin Warner,
Yes.
Philomena Hinks,
Yes.
Kevin Covalessi.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to personnel, we did meet. Tony, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, overall, I mean, just looking at the agenda, we had some, a couple hires, just started at the beginning of the year, and then we did spend a good amount of time just talking about, as I highlighted before, with the vaccination executive order and kind of what that entails. And that's pretty much all we covered at personnel this go around.
No items to be moved, right? Is there?
Just approval of the, motion and then.
Just need a motion to approve the appointments and resignations.
So moved. Second.
Good. All right. Roll call vote. Lauren Brown-Strongfeld,
Yes.
Martha Dennis, Tim Gallagher,
Yes.
Tracy Petruli,
Yes.
Diana Purcell,
Yes.
Ronnie Marina,
Yes.
Megan Warner,
Yes.
Philomena Hanks,
Yes.
Kevin Cavallo.
Yes. All right, curriculum and technology.
Okay. I know the most anticipated update of the night. That's my classroom humor, sorry. Okay, so, so I just want to highlight, again, the continuing development of new courses that are coming out of the efforts of our curriculum leaders here, and I really want to highlight, we've got an AP Studio Art course, which is really exciting. Again, we're expanding our computer science offerings as well. We have 2 new courses. And then we have a number of other curricula that are up for approval, as you can see. So the district is really, I think, doing well at evaluating constantly the curriculum and applying, in particular, teacher input to the documents and through the processes. So really keeping them as living documents. And making sure that our strategies are shared right across buildings, across teachers, and we're ensuring equity, diversity, and inclusion in the delivery of our instruction as well. So I think it's really important to highlight that ongoing goal as it touches on all aspects of our work here. So we've got, again, I think a series of other approvals. I just want to highlight the Elementary Coding Club as something I think of interest in particular to the board and to the public. That will be a club offered at the elementary level at both schools for 2nd through 6th grade. And it will have some face-to-face sessions in each building with some joint sessions on Zoom that allow students to come together across our elementary schools. We're anticipating the club will start after winter break, so I guess keep an eye out for that, and that will be facilitated by our STEM teacher, Ms. Jenkins. We'll also have another fall club, the Crazy Eights, I think I mentioned before in a previous meeting, and that's also for our elementary grade students. And again, another great example, I think, of some extracurricular options that help support students in our younger grades, especially as they can take advantage now of the increased offerings in math, science, and technology at the high school. So we had some in our technology updates. I think Vince is really holding down the fort. He's got a lot to manage, you know, not just with this regular opening of the school year, but then obviously with the flood. Only 2 Chromebooks were damaged so far and have been replaced. I think that's like deserves its own special line and period. So I just want to highlight that. And then also, just again, you know, in the theme of the night, right, the district is, we're meeting the technology and transportation needs of the families that are displaced by the storm. The curriculum committee did discuss some of the ways that is happening, and we have, our teachers, once again, have stepped up, and we have a list who want to provide supplementary instruction for affected families. So again, just the outpouring of support for our affected families in particular is really notable. But then also, I just want to say that the work of the district is continuing, which I want to highlight as well, because, you know, as Ronnie was saying, in times of crisis, right, sometimes it's like, you can only do one thing, but I'm still, you know, still the work that's advancing the district's larger goals continues. And with that, I move items A through C forward for approval. Any discussion?
I will second that.
Now open for discussion.
No.
I'll just comment on the Crazy Eights. I did actually have an opportunity to get in there and watch the last 5 minutes of the class, and there was lots of fun happening, at least with West Bengal, but I'm sure it's the same in LPS. So looks like fun for the kids.
We've done that program in the past, and it has always been very, very popular.
All right. Roll call.
Lauren Brown Swanfrost,
Yes.
Martha Dennis,
Yes.
Tim Gallagher,
Yes.
Tracy Petruli,
Yes.
Diana Purcell,
Yes.
Ronnie Marina,
Yes.
Megan Warner,
Yes.
Philomena Hanks,
Yes.
Kevin Cavallo.
Yes. Policy.
Okay, the policy committee met this evening. So I'm going to make a motion to approve items A, B, and C under policy. And once that's seconded, I'll give a quick vote. Second by Megan, thank you very much. So we have several new policies that are listed on the first reading. One of those is related to the Executive Order 253, which the superintendent mentioned in his report about the vaccination requirements. We have some revisions to the surrogate parent and resource family parent policy, and some others related to crisis situations, which seems appropriate, fire drills, and some new policies that are based on our accepting federal funding. So we are required to have all of these policies. So they are online for your review, and we're doing those on the first reading this evening. The second readings of several policies that we put on, we discussed last month, are on for tonight. One is for our health and safety policy related to COVID-19, a policy on eye protection, and then the education of women and children policy. So once those are approved this evening, those will become board policies. Finally, we have under item C several policies that are no longer relevant or applicable. 3 of them are related to the restarting of school last year, so we are abolishing those from the policy manual. The fourth one, children displaced by domestic violence, that is being removed from the policy manual because it is that material and that information is covered in the policy, so there's no need for reason to be redone. Anybody have any questions on the policies or concerns? And of course, you can always mark up between, after tonight's meeting, send them in, and we will discuss those markups for the second reading. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, how about we vote?
Ronnie Blackstone, thoughts?
Yes.
Martha Dennis.
Yes.
Jim Gallagher.
Yes.
Liz Petula.
Yes.
Diana Purcell.
Yes.
Ronnie Camarino.
Yes.
Megan Moore.
Yes.
Philomena Hank.
Yes.
Kevin Copeland.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. This brings us into our second public comment. We're going to open it up at this time. If anybody would like to make a comment.
Community calendar.
Oh,
School and community.
It's at the bottom.
Moved it around on you?
I got 35 pages to look through. Well,
After number 8.
forgot about that.
Number 9.
All right. Oh, there it is.
You want to go to community?
Kevin, you brought it up on your new laptop.
There it is. There it is. Now we want- All right. School and community. Lauren or Philomena? Sorry.
Okay, so this is Philomena Hanks giving the school community update. So recognition in order, definitely for the leadership of the district and the students. I was just very proud to be a part of the district that was central to the relief efforts after what happened in our communities. I know there were many people affected in all the communities. So even though there were a lot of relief efforts in Lambertville, I know that there were a lot of people affected in West Amwell and Stockton as well. But amazing job from the district and our community. As for our meeting, we met on the 21st, and we discussed the referendum. This was right before the second referendum video was released. Community members have organized signs and offered to organize canvassing. Outreach continues at an upcoming senior citizen luncheon on October 14th. A letter to graduates and high school seniors of voting age, Ramblers Day, and other events. Student enrollment was the second topic. In order to continue to improve our schools, the committee discussed ways to gather information about why families who are living in districts choose not to have their children attend our schools. So this is the beginning of some data collection in that area. We also talked about Maschio's food service. The superintendent continues to discuss healthy options with Maschio's and plans to go out to bid to see other food options that are available. We also discussed in-person board meetings. Committee members have received positive feedback from the community on in-person board meetings with a public comment form and streaming available. The comment form, as noted before, is in Spanish and English. And Ronnie also discussed rotating the meetings among different schools as we have done in the past to increase enrollment. So those are the topics we discussed at our meeting. Nothing to move. Oh, it is the calendar? No, I think
Yeah,
oh, calendar. Oh,
yeah, I
yes.
added that.
So you're
So, and I'll send this out tomorrow, but just a reminder, we did have a modification to our school calendar because we did miss the 2 days in the beginning of the year. So there's one day that comes off in February and then another day that comes off around Memorial Day weekend. Well, I will highlight that in my communication tomorrow with parents and then also update the calendar on our website.
Okay, so then moving item A, the revised calendar.
We do need to vote on that.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Okay.
Roll call.
Lauren Von Sunsfeld,
Yes.
Martha Dennis,
Yes.
Jim Gallagher,
Yeah.
Grace Petrucci,
Yes.
Diane Purcell,
Yep. Yes.
Ronnie Todd Marina,
Yes.
Megan Warner,
Yes.
Philomena Heights,
Yes.
Kevin Kowalewski.
Yes. All right, now we're back in the public comment. So we're going to open it up for a second time. Again, state your name and municipality, and it is now open. If you'd like to come up and make a statement, please do so.
So Michaela Birdie-Shaw, West Amwell. I will actually be reading on behalf of Dave Beaumont. He sent in a form, and I guess it just didn't go through.
Oh,
Is that all right that I read?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
I have his permission. All right. Members of the referendum key communicator committee, like myself, have been reaching out to voters in our communities, sharing information about the referendum and answering questions when we can, or directing questions to others when we can't. We've also been listening to concerns and feedback that our neighbors have shared with us. Frequently, we hear comments directed at the superintendent that would probably best be directed at the board. For my part, I've attempted to explain that a superintendent's role is to identify facility and educational needs and issues, explore and identify options that would address those needs and issues, and ultimately present those options to the board with a recommendation to pursue one of the options. It is then the board's responsibility and obligation to approve a recommendation, or reject it and approve a different option, or do nothing at all. But in the end, the board owns the selected option and is responsible for ensuring funding the approved option is required. For the current project, for example, funding will come from state aid and a bond that will be paid through taxpayer dollars. Ultimately then, from my experience, again, Dave Beaumont's experience, not mine, it is the board who is responsible for securing the passage of a referendum to fund a project with participation and support from the superintendent. So to that point, I have two questions. Number one, can you share what the board is doing as a body and what the board itself plans to do to promote and inform voters about the referendum? And two, for those members who are willing to share, what are individual board members doing and what do you individually plan to do to promote and inform voters about the referendum? Sincerely, Dave Beaumont, West Amwell. I'll say in my last 30 seconds,
Sorry.
I agree with him. I'll keep it short, but I agree with him in that on the heels of this tragedy, this opportunity to take community and bring unity to the conversation, let's hear it. Help us. I'm part of that key communicator group, and I want nothing more than better academic excellence, better facilities to promote and retain not only our students, but our teachers, to inspire more board members to participate, right? To get the good ones to come forward and be advocates in our community. Now is the time, and we need your help, right? Like, we know that we have obstacles with this referendum, but we have a lot of opportunities too. And I think that maybe reclaiming the narrative, getting a hold of the narrative so our community members can really hear it and understand how this will drive unity and drive excellence is the most critical thing that we can do if we want this to go to yes on November 2nd. So I beg you guys, help us. Help us understand how you got to a yes vote, because we want better too. But we kind of need some help. Thanks.
from the public would like to make a comment? All right, we'll close down the second public participation. And at this time, we do have need for an executive session
Let me check the form.
to make sure they're done. During, we plan to be in executive session for approximately 30 to 45 minutes. We will not be taking any action when we come out. We will just be adjourning the meeting. We need a motion to go into executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries.
We're gonna go next door. Yep.
that's the best thing I can do. I should have told the board 3 years ago to help guide.
Well, I'll make a motion to come out of executive session at 8:59.
I will third it.
All in favor?
Any opposed or abstained? All right,
I need a motion to adjourn. Unless we're going to talk about anything. Nope.
all in favor? Any opposed or abstained? Everyone have a lovely evening.
I do.
Is the-